All right, we are back with Making Sense with Rob Case. And I want to spend a little time with you to share some of the solutions, some solutions for which we can return America to a new level of greatness. I feel that the morale of the American people is sinking, and that we are headed to a point where it will get so bad that something will need to be done for the sake of our own sanity. Here is a little encouragement that I hope you will use to motivate you in your efforts as you join me in returning America to its greatness. Number 1, you are not powerless. You know, it irritates me when I hear the sense of powerlessness among the American people. What makes you think that you are any lesser than the shady politicians in Washington? You are more powerful than them. If you look at the Constitution, if you look at the Bill of Rights or whatever, you are the bosses of them. They have no control over you unless you give them the power to have control over you. That's it. That's done. That is truth. You are not powerless. They have to answer to you. Number 2, be educated. Learn the functions of how things work before you listen to your politicians square off in their next big debate. Once you learn how things work, and these things could be how your job works, how business works, how oil works, all these things. Once you learn how these things work, it will be easily revealed who is full of it and who is right on the money. If you fail to do this, you will end up being led astray to what sounds attractive to the ear. And when you follow what simply sounds good, you are liable to be punished by the consequences of your vote. We are seeing this at this very moment. Number 3, educate your friends and relatives. I believe that if you really love somebody or deeply care about somebody else's well-being, you will tell them what they need to hear rather than worry about what they want to hear. Too many times people tend to think that if they tell the truth, they're creating an awkwardness, an uneasiness. If people are sincere and they debate you, then that will prove that they care enough about the issues to engage in a debate with you. I don't know about you, but when people debate me, I actually admire the people who debate me because it shows me that that person is passionate enough to fight with me and to risk creating a sense of awkwardness so that we can get to the heart of the truth and that we can actually share our ideas together. I really, really do. I sincerely believe that. I really admire those who debate me. Number 4, always remember that some people are irrational and cannot be told anything. Arrogant people lightly dismiss simple truths, yet it is the simple truths that contribute most to having a strong and productive society. I see far too much that people can't seem to do the simplest of things anymore. Do you notice this? They do this because they lack the ability to think for themselves and think about what the right thing to do would be. I personally admire older people most because their survival depended on how well they could think, as well as depend on their faith. Dismissing things like common sense and absolute truths have contributed to the vegetative state we currently find ourselves in. Let's change that. Self-serving politicians do not want you to think. They want you to react. And they want you to react favorably to what they tell you. They want to be the commanders and you the obeyers. In fact, Adolf Hitler's rise to power was owed to people's failure to think for themselves. While allowing themselves to be mesmerized by his charismatic charm, Hitler once said, "What luck for rulers that men do not think. Thinking is most discouraged by the most controlling." Remember that. I'm going to say it again. Thinking is most discouraged by the most controlling. When it comes to politicians, you are their bosses, and they are supposed to be held accountable to you. You, the voter, are then accountable to God and others who surround you. Number 5, always always think of others before yourself. There is that one verse in the Bible that says to love your neighbor as yourself. Well, there is a mystery embedded within that Bible verse. When you think of yourself and only yourself, you close out anybody and everybody outside yourself. As you pursue the politician that you think would best serve your interests, while thinking, to hell with everybody else. Remember that your vote will be challenged or channeled. Your vote will be channeled to a candidate who will most likely do the very same thing that you did to others, to you. Once they get your vote, to hell with you. They will close out any thought of you as you did to your neighbor. You will have done unto yourself what you have done to your neighbor. It's kind of interesting, but it's true. Number 6, we need to live by strict absolutes and standards. Lawlessness is kind of rampant right now. People don't respect law, probably because laws have been made by politicians to line their pockets rather than consider the best interests of the people they are elected to represent in the first place. This has resulted in deep cynicism and distrust in anything that could actually be in place for our own good. Lawlessness does have its own set of consequences, so you have a choice. Either be punished by those appointed to enforce the laws, or be punished by natural consequence. Number 7. This, I think, is the most important one of all. Live as though you will be held accountable to God, because it is with Him you will be held accountable. When I read certain quotes from the Founding Fathers, a common truth jumps out at me like never before. Their various messages put together a common theme. If you do not fear the Lord and govern or vote without the fear of being held accountable, then I regret to say you will be in for a series of unpleasant surprises and many disappointments. Those with the greatest fear of being held accountable to God tend to treat and value other people with the consideration that they, like themselves, have a soul. Those who fail not to acknowledge the aspect of the soul, and in turn fail to acknowledge being held accountable to God or do not believe in God, tend to view other people as nothing more than animals who are beneath themselves. They tend to view other people as animals who are destined to fall at the control of someone else. This is extremely important, as this lays out a dynamic that has incredible impact. By lacking this trait, by lacking the knowledge or by lacking the consideration that you will be held accountable to God, if you do not have that, you will hold a greater contempt for those around you. You will hold a greater contempt for other people. By carrying this trait, that people under God have a soul and respect them with the same value that God would, you will hold a greater respect for those around you, even if they don't extend you the very same courtesy, because that would be, in and of itself, an act of grace, and that sends a message. When we come back, we will close out the first program